Hello and welcome to TrojanVision Nightly News for June 17th, 2013. I'm Jamarlo Phillips. Thank you for joining us this evening.
From the High Definition Digital Production Center on the Troy campus, with news from Troy University locations around the world, this is Troy TrojanVision Nightly News.
The Troy TrojanVision Nightly News for June 17, 2013. I'm Jamarlo Phillips. Thank you for joining us this evening. Today marks the start of Troy University's Impact Orientation Sessions. Impact gives incoming students their first taste of their new university home. Justin Gardner has more.
Today, incoming freshmen get their first impression of Troy University campus life, and it's sure likely to make an impact. College life is far different from the norm for young people coming out of high school, likely living on their own for the first time ever. This can be uncomfortable, but there is a program designed to essentially make this life transition a little easier. The first day of orientation for new students, most of them freshmen, kicked off today, and it's called Impact because these sessions will impact some of the incoming students and potentially change the course of their life.
I'm SGA Vice President of Legislative Affairs.
Paul Evans can remember his first day of Troy University Impact years ago.
How'd you feel about it?
It was good. I mean, I got to meet a lot of different people and kind of check out the organizations and kind of see where I wanted to be when I came in here. And, kind of got to check out SGA, which is where I am now.
If making an impact on day one is the goal, that would be considered a success story. Why? Because students who are more likely to get involved early on in their collegiate careers are more likely to stick around and finish them. Judson Garner, Troy, TrojanVision News.
There are 2 impact sessions per week and run through July 15th. Banging drums and clicking metronomes can be heard all over campus this week as the Sound of the South hosts its annual summer music leadership camps. Felicia Payne has a story.
Music is coming from all corners of campus this week as the Sound of the South hosts its annual summer music leadership camp.
We have this camp so that high school and middle school kids from around the southeast and even further up, past Tennessee, can come down and they can get, real-time experience with college students and other professionals who have done this for years or their whole lives, so they can get the experience they need to succeed in the music field.
While on campus for a week, the students get the opportunity to learn different ways to build their home bands up, whether it be in a concert setting, on the marching field, or in a leadership position.
We have a drum major portion, and the drum major is the person who conducts the marching band. We also have a concert band portion, a full auxiliary portion including color guard, majorette, and dance line, and we also have a percussion portion.
This is my second year, and last year was my learning year, and this year, I'm wanting to learn from other people and from other people's perspective because I went to a different camp last year.
Current Sound of the South members, alumni, or Troy School of Music faculty are serving as leaders and teachers for camp.
I know a few years ago I also had no idea what it meant to be a drum major, and working with Kirby and being able to see what all he went through and everything that it took for him to be here really taught me a lot, and I know that it'll teach all the other kids who are here.
Felicia Payne, Troy, TrojanVision News.
There will be an award ceremony and final performance to show off what the students have learned Thursday at 12:45 in Trojan Arena. And now taking a look at news from around the state. In Fort Payne, a Georgia man is dead following a weekend drowning in northeast Alabama. Officials say 19-year-old Ricardo Perez of Rome, Georgia, was found in 9 feet of water in Little River Canyon on Saturday night. Perez and friends reportedly were trying to swim across Little River when Perez went under the water earlier in the day. The superintendent of the Little River Canyon Preserve, Gail Bishop, says Perez was the first person to ever drown in the canyon this year. In Montgomery, a federal judge is going ahead with the trial of a former prison supervisor accused of beating to death an inmate. The judge ruled today that defense attorneys for former Lieutenant Michael Smith did not engage in racial discrimination in striking potential jurors who are black. And also in Montgomery, the Alabama Board of Education member Mary Scott Hunter said she's considering entering the Republican race for governor against incumbent Robert Bentley. The 40-year-old Huntsville lawyer said she's been encouraged to consider the race by people from many different walks of life, and she plans to decide by the end of the summer. Still to come on TrojanVision Nightly News. Game 5 of the NBA Finals was last night, and Mitchell Spoon will tell us what team came out on top. But first, find out what is discussed between Syria and President Obama. I'll have that and more coming up next.
Syria's civil war dominates talks between President Obama and other key world leaders at the G8 summit. I'm Tara Merchiner at the White House with the latest coming up.
Today is Saturday.
60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Let's switch to Energy Star light bulbs and stop burning through cash. Saving energy saves you money.
I was looking for something that if I had to take online, I could still take it, but I wanted that personal touch that Troy offers. I needed to be able to work around my schedule because I still support my family full time, and I needed to be able to be flexible and Troy met those needs.
On campus or online, Troy offers you an extraordinary education with the flexibility you need. Troy University. It's all you need to know.
My name is Jeremy. I am a criminal justice major with Homeland Security. I needed to reinvent myself, and I chose Troy.
From the high-definition digital production studios of Troy University, you're watching the award-winning TrojanVision Nightly News.
Northern Ireland today is usually billed as a meeting of the leading industrial nations to discuss economic issues. But this year, much of the focus is on us and Russia and how the two nations will tackle the differences over Syria. We get more from Tara Mergener at the White House.
Protesters demanding action on the Syrian civil war placed white gravestones in downtown Belfast as world leaders arrived at the G8 summit in Northern Ireland.
We need G8 leaders to get behind a political solution to the crisis and not pour more weapons into the conflict that will only add fuel to the fire.
President Obama and Russian President Vladimir Putin are sitting down to discuss the crisis in Syria at their first face-to-face meeting this year. President Obama recently signed off on U.S. military support for the rebels fighting to overthrow Syrian President Bashar Assad. Putin is on the other side of the 2-year-old civil war, backing Assad and providing weapons to the regime.
Complicating relations between Russia and the White House are new disclosures from NSA leaker Edward Snowden that the U.S. intercepted Russian communications during a previous summit.
Talk of spying and Syria overshadowed news about what could be the world's largest trade deal.
And I'm pleased to join these leaders to announce the launch of negotiations on a new trade agreement.
The U.S. and European Union will start talks next month on a transatlantic trade deal that could create 2 million new jobs. Tara Mergener for CBS News, the White House.
It has been 1 year since WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange sought political asylum inside Ecuador's embassy in London. He remains holed up there as politicians from Ecuador and Britain meet to discuss his fate. Lucy McDonald reports from London.
Supporters cheered as WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange waved from a window at the Ecuadorian embassy in London. They flew balloons to mark the 1-year anniversary of his asylum this week. Ecuador's foreign minister travelled to London to support Assange as he fights extradition to Sweden on sexual assault allegations. Ricardo Patino held talks with Britain's foreign secretary to try to end the political standoff. The pair agreed to set up a team of legal experts from both sides to break the diplomatic deadlock. Ecuador granted Assange political asylum last June after Britain's Supreme Court ordered him deported to Sweden. Assange said he feared Sweden may hand him over to the US to face spy charges for leaking classified US documents on his WikiLeaks website. It costs millions of dollars for British police to keep an eye on Assange around the clock. Ecuador's foreign minister says it's grossly unjust. Assange cannot leave without facing arrest. Patino vows his country will stand by Assange and says the Australians should be offered a safe way out of Britain. Supporters say being holed up in the embassy is bad for Assange's health. But Assange says he is strong enough to stay for at least 5 years, rather than face the threat of legal proceedings in the US. Lucy McDonald for CBS News, London.
New research finds adding more red meat to your diet could increase your risk of type 2 diabetes. Researchers followed more than 100,000 people for 4 years. They found adding a half serving a day of red meat increased the risk nearly 50%, but reducing red meat intake lowered the risk. Adriana Diaz reports from New York.
So much of this is in my control.
Sherry Beatrice is trying to be healthy, especially when it comes to food.
I grew up in the South. I grew up with fried foods, Carb City, tons of sugar. I mean, if it was up to me, I could eat Krispy Kreme all day.
A year ago, Beatrice, who's 62, cut out red meat and adopted a Mediterranean diet.
I eat chickpeas, lentils, beans, all that stuff, lots of salads.
Eating less meat may have also reduced her chances of getting diabetes. A new study followed 100,000 people for 4 years. Those who ate half a serving less of red meat a day reduced their risk of diabetes by 14%. Those who added a half serving increased their risk nearly 50%.
The study found the increased risk for diabetes was even greater in processed red meat, like hot dogs, sausage, and salami.
As we enter the summer and we go barbecuing, what I recommend is throw some vegetables on the grill because they're going to be healthier for you.
Diabetes affects about 25 million Americans and is a major cause of heart disease and stroke.
If we can say to patients, get the saturated fats, get the meat out of your diet, and you're going to prevent diabetes, that's hugely empowering.
Sherry's lost 20 pounds and lowered her cholesterol. She says she doesn't miss the meat.
I just feel better. I feel healthier. I feel lighter. I never have that really full feeling after I eat.
But she says she's only human and still has a little ice cream once in a while. Adriana Diaz, CBS News, New York.
Bye. Thank you.
Now Mitchell Spoon joins us with sports. Well, Mitchell, last night was Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Can you give us more on that?
Yes, again, last night, like you said, last night was Game 5, and it was a real critical game for both the Heat and the Spurs. I want to get more into that starting right now. All right. More awards just keep coming in for the Troy baseball team. This weekend, the American Baseball Coaches Association announced Danny Collins, Logan Pierce, and Tyler Vaughn to their South Central All-Region teams. Collins and Pierce were named to the South Central All-Region's first team, and Tyler Vaughn was named to the second team. Collins will forego his senior year at Troy after signing a deal with the Pittsburgh Pirates last week. He will begin his professional career with the Jamestown Jammers. Logan Pierce became the first Trojan to be drafted by the Philadelphia Phillies when they selected him in the 15th round of the MLB draft. He will begin his professional career with the Williams Sport Crosscutters. And for Tyler Vaughn, who, although didn't get drafted, he ranked second in the NCAA with 72 runs scored and is currently the second toughest player to strike out. Vaughn struck out just 10 times in 257 at-bats this season. And the 2012-2013 season is arguably one of the best in Troy Rodeo's history. The team capped off its 10 years in existence with a strong showing at the 2013 College National Finals Rodeo this past week in Jasper, Wyoming. 5 Trojans made the 1,700-mile trip for the nation's premier college rodeo event. Sisters Keisha and Cassandra Smith competed in goat tying, Kelsey Kennemer and Cassidy Aldridge competed in breakaway roping, and Zach Maidbury represented the men's team in the team roping event. Each competitor was given 3 attempts at their event in hopes of advancing to the finale on Saturday. Aldridge finished breakaway roping, placing 8th overall in the nation with a 23.2 second total. Kennemer finished tied for 43rd. Cassandra Smith finished goat tying tied for 23rd with a 22-second total, while Keisha Smith finished tied for 43rd with a total time of 25.9 seconds. Mabrey finished off what was already a successful year in team roping, tied for 22nd with a total time of 22.6 seconds.